What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to another episode of the Dossier, the Marvel Crisis Protocol show, where we talk all things characters from Marvel Crisis Protocol, from their miniature design to their cards and whether or not they have an interesting place in the game and on the table. Just keep in mind that this is not meant to be a comprehensive review of characters. This is just meant to be an overview, give you an idea of what the characters are capable of on the table, what they can do. If you want to go check out more comprehensive conversations, they definitely exist online, and I definitely encourage you to go do that, because there's some great discussions for a lot of these characters. And of course, if you want to support the channel, you can hit up patreon.com/AegisBrandStudios. These episodes are not possible without those wonderful supporters. They give me the ability to basically keep up with this and keep the channel rolling on a regular basis, as more than just sort of like a casual little side thing. I can do it a little bit more regularly. So thank you all for being patrons, and thank you all for hitting the like and subscribe button. So today we are taking a look at Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, from the original core box of Marvel Crisis Protocol. So let's take a quick peek at this model. Now this one's an interesting one because we just got a brand new Black Widow that hit the shelves, and we've definitely seen a big evolution of the character design, the model design between them. The new Black Widow is probably one of my favorite models that they've come out with so far. Whereas this one, it's kind of static. It's not really doing a whole lot. It's got it's a decent enough pose. There's some good movement in the head and the hair, but otherwise, it doesn't have that same dynamic range of motion as the new one. Very simple to put together. I don't remember a whole lot of details on this one. I can't remember if the arms were a pain or not. I think they were pretty easy. I think the little holster here was like one of the few only side pieces that really had to worry about. Otherwise, very simple model put together. It's decent enough, but it definitely shows its age in comparison to the rest of the Crisis Protocol line that we've seen hit at this point. So what does she bring to the table? Let's take a peek at her card here. So she has not been redone. This is still her original card. She's got 4 stamina. She's a long mover, size 2, 2 threat, 3/2/4 for her defenses. That 2 energy is a little unfortunate as far as defenses go, because there's a lot of energy in the game, but she does have some stuff to make up for that. The long move, that's kind of her bread and butter for me, and a 2 threat long mover is kind of a nice thing to have. She makes a few of my lists as a result just because of that. So her first attack is an energy attack, range 2, 4 dice. It's strike. It is your typical builder attack. And it's got a Wild Widow Sting, where after the attack is resolved, the target loses 1 power. Basically, we've seen this ability come back in the form of, I think, like concussive or other things like that. It's okay at range 2. It doesn't get used a whole lot. The Widow Sting is decent enough. 4 dice builder attacks are always a little on the rough side. I'd like to see this become a gainer personally, but it is what it is. Next up, we have Pistol, which is a range 3, 4 dice physical attack with no special rules, and this makes me so sad. I wish this was a gainer. It would make her kit just so much better, because one of the things that she kind of struggles with right now is kind of gaining the power. She's not very power hungry, but because she doesn't really gain power aside from like being punched, she doesn't really have the power to really do a lot of fun things, unfortunately. And then we have another physical attack, Mixed Technique, range 2, 4 dice for 2 power. If it deals damage, you put a stagger on the targeted character, and there's a Wild Elusive where she can advance short away. At 4 dice with that trigger, I want to like this attack so badly, but this is a rough spender. For 2 power, only rolling 4 dice, like she is not doing any real damage output. You can't really rely on that stagger, especially if you're going up against anyone that has any sort of like damage reduction or rolls extra dice or rerolls or anything like that. This Mixed Technique is going to very rarely get through. That's not to say it won't. I've been lucky enough to get a Mixed Technique success through on Malekith before, which was just glorious, but it's a tricky one. Her superpowers are kind of where she shines, though. So we have a reactive power, Counter Strike, for 2. After an attack against this character is resolved, you use the superpower. Roll if the attacker is within 3. Roll or deal 1 damage for each crit and wild rolled of 4 dice. So it's a nice way of doing a little bit of damage back. I find this is usually where her damage output comes from, simply because it's damage that can't be countered. Like you can't block it or anything like that. Damage reduction is really the only way, I believe, to reduce this damage that comes in. So that's a nice little touch right there. She also has Martial Artist, so when within range 2, she gets to add blanks to her defense rolls for both physical and energy. Again, I mean, this is solid. It means that you're usually getting a good chunk of successes on your physical and energy rolls within range 2. On the 2 energy defense, I mean, this doesn't really do a whole lot for you, but it can keep her a little bit more survival. Then you have Stealth on her, which is you have to be within range 3 to target her. This is probably her best ability right here because it allows her to either hang out in the backfield and hold an objective for relatively inexpensiveness, or you can run forward and kind of be a thorn in other characters' sides because they have to move within that range 3 to target her. And when you have both martial arts and stealth, there's that sweet spot between range 3 and range 2 where you can actually really do some damage. Otherwise, she can start becoming a little bit tankier, which is kind of nice. So stealth is the long move. Those are probably her biggest things going for her. Her other side, I mean, nothing changes here. My biggest disappointment with her is definitely that pistol attack. I really wish it was a gainer. I think if that were a gainer and she'd get a little bit of power for that, it would just feel that much better. Let's get her on here and get her focus here. So where does she really stand in all this? Well, I think she's a great 2-threat character to slide in if you need an objective runner, or if you just want to like sort of safely hold a back point. She makes my shield list quite a bit because she is affiliated. She's long moves, so she can kind of mix in with the rest of that as a result. I don't really play around with her in a lot of other places. There could be an argument for original Steve on making the Counter-Strike a little bit cheaper, but I don't think it's necessarily worth it all the time. I think in general, she just becomes a good utility 2-piece. If you need a 2-threat character to slide in somewhere that can maybe run some objectives or harass some characters, I think she's perfectly fine for that. Although she's not great. I think she's been overshadowed by a number of other characters, especially in the 2-threat range. So really think hard about whether or not you want her in a particular list. I think where she has a home, she's fine. Where she doesn't have a home, like if she's not affiliated, I don't think you're really bringing her all that often. So it really comes down to what your preference and play style is. But yeah, that is the original Black Widow from the core box. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about her, whether or not she has aged well in this game, or if she needs a bit of a rework. And we will see you next time. Happy wargaming.